Hi everyone, I'm here to review my Mr. Coffee 12 cup automatic programmable coffee maker. So this is one that I bought at Target. I've actually returned this once within 30 days because it broke, but I wanted to go over what I like and dislike about this coffee maker in general. So let's start with the programmable buttons here on the front. These are very easy to use, hour, minute, set delay, fresh brew timer lets you know how long it's brewed. And then you have your brew, click this once each time for brew now, delay, brew, or clean. You have brew strength of regular or strong. I do find that strong is a better, if you like kind of a bolder coffee or, just more flavor in your coffee, strong, where it seems to work better. And it has a nice clock on the front that does glow. In a dark room, it is a little bit bright, but as long as you have a light on, it's no big deal at all. But it's not overly obnoxiously bright like some of the other coffee makers I have seen in the past. And this is, by the way, is made by Mr. Coffee. So I really do like the way this is set up, and my wife loves the look of it, the red. That's part of the reason why we bought this over all the other coffee makers that were silver or black silver now, which is the new thing that they have, or whatever stainless steel that they call it. It is rounded in the back, and there is a hole. If I can get it back here. Right here, and that I believe is where the water will come out if you have too much water in there. Actually, it's just starting to drip now because I didn't have water in there, but it must have been pretty high last time I made coffee. And then up here, you have the place where you add water, which always is humid and has condensation all over it. Now, this is a major design flaw of this, is the fact that you open this up, and this has condensation on it, and then it drips over this back section and drips all over your countertops. That's a really bad design flaw. This should open up so it's over this, or open up in some other way. It shouldn't open up so that way it drips all over your counters every time. And then the same thing with this. You have the same issue where this drips all over your countertops. It's always humid in here. I just made a pot of coffee before and finished it off. Nice deep well reservoir. When you dump the water in this top section, it does have these grates so it doesn't fall over the lid. This actually works pretty well, and it's good at channeling. If you can see in there, it channels it back towards this back section, so that way it goes down in there and not in your coffee grounds when you first, do it. This is always very moist in here. I've tried to leave it open every once in a while to dry it out. So standard flat basket here for making coffee. Now, I will say there's one thing about this, is because it has this notch on the bottom, you can put it on the counter. Some of these you cannot put down on a counter. This is nice that you can do that, and it'll work, and it's not going to fall off pretty. It's not going to be knocked off very easily. There was a filter thing that goes on top of this, which I found to be worthless. It was a charcoal filter. They were kind of expensive, and they only lasted a month according to the stuff, and I just never found them to be all that worthwhile. It didn't change the flavor of the coffee. I feel that pouring the water in overnight and letting it dechlorinate, by sitting there is a much better solution. So now going in here, you can see that it's a little dirty in here, but this is where the basket sits and the opening that it pours through. And then we come to the carafe. Carafe is actually pretty nice, 12 cups. It holds a little bit more, obviously. Nice flip-up lid, with your thumb. There is an internal, which I found with a lot of coffee pots, because of the way this plastic and glass meet, or the carafe, it does hold water on the lip on the inside. So there's a lip right up here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but maybe this way. So you can see that lip in there, and it does catch a lot of water, so it's hard to get everything out of the pot. I found that with a lot of coffee makers that is the case, but there are some others that might have a better design. With that, this nice wide area for the coffee to drip into to get down into the pot. Now, then you have your burner here to keep the pot warm, and the area where the pot goes in. And then you also have the automatic stop and start mechanism with that spring. Now, the reason why I'm doing this review is I want to tell you all the problems I've had with this coffee maker and why it was returned or exchanged within, the warranty period at the store. The return policy at the store, I should say. So the first thing that happened is the first one I had stopped working within 15 to 30 days, and it basically would not pump water. The pump in it broke. I don't know if it's because my water is a little bit hard, although I was using filtered water, so that shouldn't have been an issue, but it definitely broke within it. It just stopped pumping water. Like the water wouldn't move up, it wouldn't turn on really, and we ended up having to take it back. And we were originally going to buy another one, and they said we could exchange it, and we did, because my wife, as I said, loves this red color. Now, with that, we've had this for less than a year, or maybe right around a year by now, I guess. And we have had some other issues with it. This electronic piece in here isn't the best. We've had a couple times where it will not turn off. Like you can click all these buttons all you want, nothing happens. It doesn't. It displays the time, tells you everything that's going on, but the buttons just don't work. And the first time this happened, I went and bought another coffee maker immediately because I was like, we're getting rid of this thing. I'm tired of dealing with it. You know, it already broke once. This will be a second time. And I unplugged it, and then, I was reading online, and it says, well, wait a minute for the electronics to clear their battery and their cache and everything and plug it back in. And then it works just fine. But this happens probably every other month or so where, and it's hard to diagnose because once you unplug it, everything just goes back to normal and it works. So that is it's a huge drawback for this one. With that, but it's easy to deal around. As I said, you just unplug it when it does that. The bigger problem is this carafe down here. So you can't really tell, and I didn't notice this at first, but there's a little bit of wiggle room when you put this carafe in. It has about a ½ inch of wiggle room front and back. If you don't have it pushed back all the way, you got to really make sure you're careful, make sure it's back all the way, it will leak. It will hit the edge of this rim and leak down the back and all the way down into here and get all gunked up in here and leak through, because it'll go around until it hits these corners, onto your countertop. And this has happened to me a few times. I've gotten better about double checking this before I go to bed. Every time I always just double check and make sure it's back all the way. I mean, you can tell. I mean, there's not a lot of wiggle room once it gets back all the way. But this is a major problem with this coffee pot. I don't remember the other one, the first one I had doing that, but it definitely, you have to make sure it's back all the way, and you've got to make sure you keep, if you go to take it out, I have found that, it has this automatic stop on here, but it will leak down the back then too. So the automatic stopper is completely worthless on this thing because I have to wait till it finishes the pot of coffee before I take it out, or I'm going to have a mess all over my countertop. So very poor design really by Mr. Coffee. I would not recommend buying this one. I probably will switch to another brand once I use up all these coffee filters. I'm kind of soured on Mr. Coffee at this point. But not everyone takes these flat filters like this, and I don't want to have to, I've got a few hundred of them left, and I don't feel like just throwing them out or slowly using them for cleaning stuff. So that's my review. I do not recommend this product. I don't know if some of the other Mr. Coffee stuff is designed a little bit better, but this one definitely has design flaws, and I hope Mr. Coffee watches this and learns and changes up their designs a little bit. Like, I think that this part and back should be flat so you don't have water coming out. This needs to be designed to go back a little bit further, or, wherever it sits in here, it's not going to leak out the back side of it. And then also these electronics should be a little bit tougher, so that way they don't, I'm guessing there's some succumbing to some sort of heat thing. It's the only thing I could think of is there's some sort of heat buildup in here that's causing issues. But as I said, it all happens so infrequently that it's not like I can diagnose the problem. By the time I unplug it to do anything, it's fixed. So that's my review of this. I hope you enjoyed. If so, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Thank you.